defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am finally back. Yeah, I know. And I was at Freedom Fest, just a few weeks ago here. Freedom Fest was an amazing time. Of course, lots of good speakers, catching up with old friends. Seriously, guys, if you haven't made an effort to come to Freedom Fest, you really should. Next year, I do plan on going again. Let me just say, just in regard to the podcast here, some guys I've had on the show, I was talking to them down there. I do have some interviews coming up, but the one thing I'm doing here, right now I'm transitioning to another software I want to use for my podcast that'll improve the audio quality, and it will improve interview quality. So I know when I do interviews, I know it's been months and months and months since my last one, but it's like, what the hell's going on? Like the audio kind of, I don't know, like the S's, like it's just not that sharp. But I think this new software will help with that, and so basically, what's kind of holding me back at this point? Well, yeah, first off, haven't had much time. I was watching some videos like how to work the software and all that, so it seems like it's pretty easy and better than what I have now. But also my intro music I use and the intro, Justin Moore Show sort of thing, I got to be able to find that, and then so I can move that over to the other software. Otherwise I got to create all new stuff. And I know you guys love the intro music, and I know some people have some issues with my cheesy beginning, Justin Moore Show. But it is what it is. Okay, I'm a one-man band here. So you got to just stick with me here. But without rambling too much here, yes, Freedom Fest, great time. Freedom Fest was a great time. Yeah, Donald Trump wasn't there this year, but still, great debates, great people, and great stuff happening. So I will have some interviews coming up with guests you do love and enjoy, and some new ones. Because I know I really want to get on top of that. And like I've said earlier on previous podcasts here, it's like, man, if I can get some guests on too, it'll help me catch back up, because I've really fallen behind not doing my weekly podcast like I've done. Man, it's been more than 2 weeks, so I apologize for that. But we are here right now, aren't we? And what I want to do an update. I know, can you guys take a guess? What do I want to update on? Yes, you guessed it, Venezuela. I keep getting headlines all the time about this country. We've been talking about this country for years now. Remember when I was talking about the IMF's projecting 700% inflation, which now the IMF is projecting inflation in Venezuela to hit 1 million % by year end. Okay, now let's first say a little something here. IMF, piece of crap. IMF shouldn't exist from a libertarian sort of point of view, and I certainly agree. But the IMF, they're trying to predict hyperinflation. Granted, that is hard to do. It's hard to predict when a currency's in a free fall what the exact percentage is going to be. So will inflation hit 1 million % in Venezuela? We don't know. It's just a crazy projection. But hey, guys, Venezuela, but the IMF, remember when I think it was 2 years ago on the show. I'm talking about, I think it was 2016. The IMF was projecting inflation in Venezuela to be 700%. And then just this last year, we had inflation, what was it, around 2,200%. And so right now, the current inflation rate, and actually it's around 33,000%. 33,000%. And looking at those numbers, just at that, what it actually is, Venezuela is now the 23rd most severe episode of hyperinflation in history. Now, obviously, if it goes to 1 million, it's going to be battling Weimar for that title. And I remember telling you guys on previous podcasts here, talking about hyperinflation and so forth. I believe at the peak in Weimar Republic in Germany, they experienced around 30,000% inflation in 1 month. So, obviously when something's in free fall, everything's doubling and, so forth. Like it's just a bunch of numbers. And if you guys remember, one of my last episodes I've done talking about Venezuela, Maduro, the president of Venezuela, he had an idea. Well, let's just, lop off the last 3 zeros of the currency. Well, now they're talking about 5. And actually, I'm going to get to that here. Let me first start off. I found several articles and I jumbled all these things together. But I really like this one from The Guardian. So we're going to start here, and I think I'll bounce around. I'm not sure. I'll kind of get a feel for it as I'm going here and what I should do. But anyway, here, The Guardian starts out. Now, obviously, The Guardian is a UK newspaper, and so they will give some US dollar amounts, but a lot of it's going to be pounds, which pounds, okay, they're a little stronger than the dollar is, but fairly close. But at least you'll have kind of an idea. So here we are. 2 years ago, shoppers in Venezuela would pay fruit sellers like Jose Pacheco with box full of 100 Bolivar notes, then the currency's highest denomination. Okay, 100 Bolivar notes was the highest denomination for the currency. Okay, now thanks to rampant hyperinflation, even those are useless. It's crazy to accept notes of 100, 500, or 1,000 Bolivars, said Pacheco, a weary 61-year-old whose humble stall clings to the fringe of one of the major markets in Ciudad Guana, a city in Venezuela's southern Bolivar state. He now only accepts newly minted 100,000 Bolivar notes, which due to demand are hard to come by. Otherwise, it's a box full of notes that afterwards we have to take to the bank, he said. And it continues. Now hold on, don't fall asleep yet. It gets pretty good here. So we're setting the table here. Okay, so obviously denomination for notes. They're using 100,000 Bolivar notes when just a few years prior, the highest denomination note was 100. Okay, so just right there, it's kind of crazy. Okay. Inflation is the embattled South American country could reach 1 million% by December because of what the International Monetary Fund warned this week, reflecting an economic crisis compared to Germany's after the First World War in Zimbabwe at the beginning of the last decade. The prediction marks a drastic jump from last April when the IMF predicted inflation would reach a mere 13,000%. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of saying about projections here. The IMF earlier was saying, we'll probably see 13,000% inflation in 2018 when they're projecting 1 million. So it's kind of there's a huge ballpark there. It's a guess. You can't scientifically figure out what the exact percentage is going to be for inflation, especially when it's hyperinflation. Continuing on, Venezuela, which has the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, well, they shouldn't have any problems, right? It's all about oil. Okay, anyway, is in the midst of a 5-year crisis that has left many of its people unable to afford food and medicine, with shelves bare in supermarkets. Crime rates continue to set records, with local residents fearful to leave the house at night. Alejandro Werner, the head of the IMF's Western Hemisphere Department, elaborated on the grim prognosis. Quote, we expect the government to continue to run wide fiscal deficits financed entirely by an expansion in base money, end quote, he wrote in a blog post on Monday night. Quote, which will continue to fuel an acceleration of inflation as money demand continues to collapse. And now here, this will give you some amounts here, so we can kind of start to ballpark this thing. For Venezuelans, everyday life has become a struggle to survive. The minimum wage is 5 million bolivars a month, which at the official rate is approximately 31 pounds or $41. Okay, 5 million bolivars a month, which is the minimum wage in Venezuela. Oh, wow. So wait, these guys are millionaires, these Venezuelans. Why are they struggling? So many people who have such a horrible understanding of money. They're like, oh, yeah, this would be great. The government does this and that. Yeah, we all go to college. Oh, my gosh, look at what we could do with life. But see, the money amount doesn't matter. Right now, every freaking Venezuelan's a millionaire, but they're broke. 5 million bolivars equals $41. Okay, let's continue on. But very few people have access to that rate in practice and resort to the black market where they get about a pound. And now here, continue, kind of like what I was just saying with my little rant there. Here's from the article. Quote, we are millionaires, but we are poor, said Marguada Orondos. Wow, I'm horrible at pronouncing these names. A 43-year-old nurse who says her minimum wage is barely enough to buy a kilogram of meat to feed her children. Here's a quote from this Orondos. Quote, we can just about eat, but if some health emergency happens, we'll die because the prices of medicine are sky high and rise every day. End quote. Sorry, that was my poor attempt at an accent there. Many blame the country's woes on President Nicolas Maduro, who in turn alleges that Venezuela is on the receiving end of an economic war waged by the United States and Europe. Of course, these guys are all about blaming someone else. Despite spiraling hyperinflation, Maduro has continued to tighten his grip on the power he inherited from Hugo Chavez, Venezuela's late leader whose charisma carried him through tough times. Now, one quick thing about Mr. Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez, he came into power in Venezuela in 1999. And everything seemed great under him. It's like, and even people in the U.S. are bragging about Venezuela. I'm serious. I don't have any quotes. I don't have any quotes in front of me right now. Maybe I'll have to do that for a later episode. But these people in the U.S. are kind of jealous. And just like they had so much praise for Hugo Chavez, just like they did for Fidel Castro before he passed away, who was the communist leader in Cuba for about 60 years. But anyway, Chavez, he at least he was in power while everything was still fine. You know, like 97% or 96% of Venezuela's economy, their GDP comes from oil. And oil has collapsed down in value, you know, since 2014. And, you know, Hugo Chavez, he died in 2013. So things seem fine. Sure, you can have all this, you know, socialism, this government largesse. You have all these government programs to help the poor and the needy, and everything seems great as long as your assets are worth something. But there's more to it than that. Obviously, socialism in and of itself it's not sustainable. And here the government, and even with the government, you know, when they took over these oil companies, oil production was going down. So they're becoming less efficient, less productive. If you want to have a growing economy, if you want people to become richer, each citizen to become richer, the country as a whole has to become more productive. That's why every single one of us out here today, every one of you listening to this show, you guys have a higher standard of living than kings and queens in the 15 and 1600s. I mean, think of these kings, you know, like they didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have heaters in the winter. You know, they had a bunch of people to serve them, servants. But I remember reading some studies on, you know, if you were to calculate, you go to the store to buy your food and all that, you know, obviously as a king, if you want to have a sort of extravagant sort of food equivalent to what we have today, you'd have to have hundreds of people producing all these little things, you know, because they weren't as productive. That's how we're able to live like this today. All of these capital goods we're able to produce at such a high level. You know, everything was manual labor back then. You can only produce so much. You know, when you have factories today running, you know, 24/7, and that, you know, especially with machines, and as robots start to take over more and more things, robots are very, very good at doing very competitive tasks. So that's why, like, if your job that you're doing right now, if you're doing a job that is very sort of robotic, you know, it's kind of repetitive, it doesn't take too many brains, then you might want to think, there might be a robot taking my job. You know, but the more skilled sort of job you have that a robot's less able to take over, that maybe involves more human touch, or, you know, something to that degree where it's exactly a robot at this level certainly can't take over. And I tell you what, you want to talk about robots? Siri pisses me off. Siri, I gave up on her. I don't know, she really impressed me when I first had the iPhone 4S way back when. But then I go to ask her stuff and she says she doesn't know, or she's going to look it up on the web. It's like, no, I don't want you to look it up on the web. Like, say if I was trying to get a tee time for some golf course, I remember Siri, she could do it before. And then I say that course and she just wants me to look up the website. It's like, no, I want you to call this golf course. You should be able to do that. I don't get it. I mean, it seems Alexa's a lot better than Siri. And I think the Google one's probably even better than that. But yeah, I don't know. Apple has a lot of work to do in regards to Little Miss Siri. So here, Venezuela is a good test case here. And it shows that socialism doesn't work. Central planning. And you know what's so freaking crazy? And I'm going to get to it here very, very soon. I'm just going to hurry and crank out the rest of this little article here, because there's some interesting things relating it to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And then I want to read and tell you guys where Maduro is admitting, hey, so okay, Our models don't work. No big deal. Yeah, it's amazing that he's really admitting that. So let's just get to that here very, very soon. Let's hurry and crank this out here. I don't know where the heck I left off. I'll just summarize these two paragraphs. So basically, Maduro, back in May, he was reelected to a 6-year term. Okay, so yay. Maduro, the savior. He's here for another 6 years. This is fantastic. And so anyway, Maduro has alleged that private bankers are smuggling cash into neighboring Colombia as part of an elaborate conspiracy to sabotage the economy. And he has rejected calls to lift currency controls. So here we have one of Maduro's plans to alleviate inflation is to issue new banknotes with the last 3 zeros lopped off. Though economists say that will do little to help. No kidding. It's a cosmetic solution that won't do anything, said Azaburdu Avaros, director of Econotalica, a Caracas-based economics consultancy. With inflation this wild in a few months, we'll be back in the same situation. Yep. Unlike in the 1920s, Germany, people in today's Venezuela, are not carrying wheelbarrows of cash to buy groceries. Instead, they have turned to electronic transactions. But 40% of Venezuelans do not have bank accounts, while others are unwilling to use credit cards or Bitcoin to pay for smaller items, so bartering has become common. Don't forget my last Venezuelan update, ladies and gentlemen. I was talking about how the Venezuelans are resorting to barter. So here's this right here. So that's what they're referring to. Continuing on. The paradox is that this is a country undergoing a deep inflation crisis, and yet nobody actually has any cash, said Geoff Ramsey, assistant director for Venezuela at the Washington office on Latin America, a DC-based think tank. You're seeing wealthy people pay for parking with granola bars. Hit particularly hard are pensioners who receive their monthly payments in cash. Saul Aponte, a 73-year-old retiree, currently buys a half carton of eggs with 100,000 Bolivar notes. At the end of the year, if they pay the pension in cash, we'll have to go with the wheelbarrow to buy the same half a carton, he said outside a shopping mall in the city center. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why so many people out in America, especially all these union folks, think, oh yeah, I'm almost ready to retire. I'll have my nice pension. Life will be good. Can relax. Here's what's happening in Venezuela. These guys, as the inflation rate, which the IMF is projecting to be at 1,000,000% by the end of this year, you get your pension you think is great. But you have hyperinflation, you're still getting paid in that cash. It's gonna be worthless. And this guy is gonna have to use a wheelbarrow of cash to pay for half a carton of eggs. A half a carton. So what, 6 eggs? For a wheelbarrow of cash? I mean, that's why so many people, the average person here in the U.S., they're naive. They don't understand this. They don't understand money. People my generation, I've said this before, how I've grown up all my life with fiat money. Anyone born after 1971, all you have known is fiat money. And this is what ends up with a fiat money. Government destroys it every single time. That's what history has shown. Continuing on. Fed up with economic despair, masses of Venezuelans are simply fleeing. More than 1 million have arrived in Colombia, where, in the border city of Cucuta, some entrepreneurial Venezuelans have begun weaving valueless banknotes into handbags. Oh, that's cute. That sell for 20,000 Colombian pesos, which is approximately £5. So experts say that Venezuela's vast potential oil wealth will not give the country a lifeline. Okay. So, and then the country's oil industry is beset with a bad management. Oh, wow, the government's in control. Okay. A lack of investment, cash flow problems, and a crumbling infrastructure. The U.S. Energy Information Administration predicts that oil production could fall to 1 million barrels per day this year, again to 700,000 by December 2019. Quote, Venezuela problems are so profound that even the increase in crude prices can't improve its industry situation. Lija Vidar, an EIA analyst, told a local website on Tuesday. They don't have a trained personnel. They don't have rigs or parts. Yeah, folks. I mean, once you have a capitalist country, then it morphs into a socialist country, you can ride off that capitalist wave for a little bit. That capital you have. But eventually, if you're not reinvesting and improving what you have, these factories, they don't just run forever. There has to be some maintenance done. You need new parts. Well, Venezuela, they're turning into a freaking ghost town because there's no reinvestment. There's no retained earnings. They're just spending all their money to survive. That's an unsustainable business. You have to always keep putting money back in it. It's like if you have a farmer that goes and he sees that, okay, yeah, the money he's getting, he is taking a good portion of it. He's reinvesting. He's improving, his operation. Maybe he's buying better tractors, things that'll make him more efficient. He's quicker. Maybe he'll invest in GPS so he spends less time with, if you actually calculate just how much you actually overlap. But when you have a GPS with a tractor, you can be accurate within an inch. You reduce overlap when you're going back and forth in the field. That's reducing fuel consumption. That's less time on the tractor. There's so many other things. Or like, for instance, like with the farm I'm at, my dad's been putting up pivots. Pivots, they pay for themselves in about 7 years. Increased production, less labor. You're not going out there to irrigate, maybe just the corners if you want to, which we have been doing. But still, it's been incredible. You can actually put fertilizer through the sprinkler system. So there's the farmers that will reinvest in what they have, and they actually can produce more. But then there's those farmers. Okay, if you're a farmer, say you're making $100,000 a year, and you're like, okay, well, I have $100,000 a year. Well, then if you think about it like you're just like a normal person with a town job, it's like I'm getting paid $100,000 a year. That's my salary as a farmer. But you're not improving anything, so you're spending all that. You're going on these nice vacations. You maybe bought a new truck. You still paying your little mortgage on your house. Okay, there you go. So your $100,000 every year you're spending. You haven't reinvested anything. So eventually you're going to be consuming your capital because things break down. You can't keep running the same tractors for years. I mean, obviously there are some, they do last a long time, but you still need to, there's maintenance. There's that sort of thing. So it's amazing how many people, they don't have that business mindset. Putting money back in, but that money you put back into the business, if you have the mindset that you can make more with it as long as you are investing it properly, then the return can be, huge percentages, drastic increases in your earning ability. Then when you're making more money, you could still be saving the same percentage as you were before, but maybe you're saving 4 or 5 times more actual money than you did before. It's because you're producing that much more. Because the key to anything, we all have so much demand for any product that you want. But if you want, in order to buy something, you first have to produce. Because that production, those goods that you can exchange for money, that money then you can take and you can buy what you want. So you need to produce more. So the guy who can figure that out, the guy who actually thinks like a business, even if you don't have your own business, you can really do well for yourself in the years to come. But anyway, guys, let me just finish this article here. I'm almost done. Let's just get to a little bit of that other one, and we'll just call her good today. Because, wow, I am talking way too damn long. So, blah, 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 blah. Back in Ghana. Okay, yeah. Okay, screw that. So anyway, guys, no. Let's just continue. Let's end that article. I think that's pretty good. Well, yeah, Nicolas Maduro here, he's also promising to roll out a new gasoline policy. Oh, yeah, he is. Because try to imagine this, ladies and gentlemen. Here, the Venezuelan president, Maduro, and actually I think I have this somewhere. He's, where is it? He's about to address the nation, and the power goes out. TV broadcast shut down because of power outage. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Where the hell did that go? Here it is. This is coming right from the AP. In Caracas, an annual gathering of Venezuelan socialists took an unexpected turn when the lights went out, just as they were about to select President Nicolas Maduro as their party's leader. The blackout happened Monday right after Diosdado Cabello was urging Socialist Party delegates to give Maduro unlimited power to strengthen the party and revolution. Oh, God. Cabello raised his hand and asked others to follow suit in electing Maduro, but the lights abruptly went out and the live television transmission cut off. After about 20 minutes, the event went back on air. Maduro later appeared and called the incident an act of sabotage, offering no proof except to note that the other parts of the hotel never lost electricity. And he frequently blames the opposition for the beleaguered country's increasing power woes. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, you can't make this stuff up. Now, we're going to get to the last article here I want to talk about here. Because, yeah, I have had a cluster of articles here in front of me. And I've talked way more than I really should have. And now here it is. So here's where Maduro admits that, okay, maybe I, wasn't exactly right what we should be doing. So here it is. This is in Caracas. This is coming from Yahoo News. Under fire, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro admitted his economic model has failed in the wake of food and medicine shortages and public service paralysis, such as Tuesday's power failure that affected 80% of Caracas. And here's Maduro, quote, "The production models we've tried so far have failed, and the responsibility is ours, mine, and yours, especially yours." Maduro told his ruling PSUV party Congress as Venezuela looks to tackle chronic inflation the International Monetary Fund predicted would reach 1,000,000% this year, which I've discussed later. Here's some more quotes from Maduro. "Enough with the whining. We need to produce with or without aggression, with or without blockades. We need to make Venezuela an economic power," he added late Monday, with the country grappling with a 4-year-long recession. "No more whining. I want solutions, comrades." Can you guys just see me standing up there and giving this address? I mean, I'm trying to be Maduro here. "The socialist government has over recent years nationalized various industry sectors such as cement and steel, expropriated hundreds of businesses, including supermarket chains, and lately brought in the army to control street markets to guard against rising prices." Just a few more paragraphs here, my friends. "And it has also fixed prices on various goods and imposed a monopoly on foreign exchange. I estimate it will take about 2 years to reach high level stability." Okay, and just to fast forward here just a little bit, so I don't need to read that. That's from the article. So Maduro's economic recovery plan includes increasing oil production to 6 million barrels a day by 2025. And oil production has crashed from a high of 3.2 million barrels, which is what Venezuela had in 2008. And right now they're at 1.5 million. So they've really seen a huge cut in their production of oil. And especially, I mean, if that's all you live off of is oil, and the price of oil has gone down, it's like, well, I mean, you need to be producing more than you did before, even though, the price is lower, but you got to try to maintain your money, right? And and right now the experts are predicting that GDP in Venezuela is going to fall by about 10% this year. So Maduro, in this article here from Yahoo, he's admitting, our economic models have failed. Which, I mean, it's rather big of him to do. It's good he's finally doing it, but I still don't think he's going to learn from the exact wrong things he's doing. These guys never get it. And this socialist idea with Venezuela, gosh, I don't know if I should get to this because I'm already running so damn long. Mises, his book on socialism, and, a lot of the Austrians, they see socialism is obviously unsustainable. Yeah. If you think about it, it's like as Margaret Thatcher said, eventually you run out of other people's money. Yeah, that's true. And thinking about the collective, that's always ends in disaster. Everybody has to have responsibility for their own lives. And you want to have an incentive to produce, which socialism doesn't have. You don't have an incentive to be the best you can possibly be. Just be average. The government will have your back. You can get welfare if you're not very productive, if you don't make that much money a year. And that destroys people. I mean, I can't imagine trying to live a life where you just, I don't know, I always like trying doing the best I possibly can at something. So I can't imagine half-assing something and feeling good about myself. I mean, I love staying busy. I mean, I work a lot of hours, but I don't feel like I work that many hours, because it's like keeping things interesting and fun. And I try to go on some trips here and there. And actually, I really think, I'm serious. I know this is probably a bad idea and I probably will die going on this trip. I don't know, but I just feel like I need to do it. I seriously want to go to Venezuela this year. I want to experience this currency collapse. I want to see what it looks like myself. Yeah, I've read the stories. I've done, several episodes of this show on Venezuela. But I want to go. I want to just take $1-2. I mean, I saw a guy who tweeted out a picture. He put $1, he gave to the clerk or whatever, and he had this big pile of money. Like if you're watching TV shows, like a guy that's got a suitcase for $1 million, that's literally how many bills you get for $1. And the guy I know that lives over in Venezuela, well, no, he doesn't live in Venezuela. His brother does, but I think he's there right now. He's saying, the U.S. dollar, obviously, it goes a long way in Venezuela. But he does say be careful with transportation. Some can be dangerous. So I don't know if he can be there when I'm there, and I think one of my coworkers who'd be interested going with me. But I really want to make that happen this year, because I really do want to try to make it to South Africa. I really do want to try to make it to South America by the end of this year anyway. And hell, Venezuela, there we are. I mean, because I can't imagine the sort of insight I can have to bring to you guys, to see and to tell you guys what I actually saw. And then the U.S., could we have a currency collapse like what's happening in Venezuela? Could we? Yeah, we could. I mean, at that point, when the U.S. is experiencing that, it's going to be a worldwide thing, because we're so intertwined, and all the other countries out there, they're all inflating as well. So it's going to be a cluster, what. But I want to learn as much as I can. And just traveling in general, you really do gain so much insight from traveling. And I'll have to have Doug Casey on again. I want to talk to him. Maybe I should ask him, hey, Doug, is that a good idea? I want to go to Venezuela. Because obviously the State Department says, don't go to Venezuela. But remember, you guys, if you have listened to my interview with Doug Casey, he says he purposely goes to the countries where the State Department tells you not to go. So taking that into consideration, well, hell, maybe I should go to Venezuela. So I want to try to work that out. Try to catch up on episodes here with you guys. I want to try to be a little more consistent here because I know it's frustrating. Totally get it. I don't want to give you guys any excuses. Let me just leave it there. I really do want to relate some of this. I was wanting to do on this episode, kind of relate to Atlas Shrugged. I had some quotes from there, but I can't. It's this episode's too long, so we'll figure something out for next week, and we'll talk about the Fed, or Lord knows. It's anything's up in the air here on the Justin Moore Show. And yeah, we see the dollar's still been relatively strong. The gold has been weak these last few weeks, and it will probably continue for the foreseeable future as the dollar is stronger. And then you have tax loss season selling that happens in a few months. So I don't know. I thought gold would really take off in this year, but it looks like it probably won't. But gold is still a good investment, at least insurance, whatever you think. But anyway, guys, I will keep you up to date with what the hell is going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world, because we all need to thrive together and at least, at the very least, yeah, we're going to survive. But we want to be able to help our friends and family. People are going to be looking for someone to go to who knows what the hell is going on or understands it. Folks, it's going to be you guys who understand it. So I'm going to do what I can to help you in any way. Anyway, guys, you can catch up on all episodes on my show here. Go to justinmooreshow.com. Moore spelled, of course, M-O-H-R. You can buy your Amazon goods through my site. It costs you nothing extra. Just click on my little link through my website. Join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom. Go on the Contra Cruise. I'll definitely be on there. Oh, man, it's going to be an amazing time. And if you want to donate to my show, you for sure can. I am going to work on other ways that you want to donate. You could donate per episode. So that is coming in the future. I have a lot on my plate, and I'm trying to get to it all, my friends. And I will talk with all you guys next week, God willing. And I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.